I want to just tell you one opportunity we have as a church to corporately kind of say, hey, God, may it be to me as you said. You see, I know personally God works for all of us, but corporately as a church, I think God's giving us an invitation to bring hope and peace this Christmas through our All Is Calm, All Is Bright offering together. Over the past 9 years, our church has given $1.4 million away to care for needs in this world. We were able to be part of building a pediatric hospital in Malawi to care for kids and families with some desperate need there. We were able to build a hospitality house in Brazil where families could stay when their children are being treated for medical illnesses. We were actually able to pack 300,000 meals to send to India for kids who were hungry. Almost every year, the last couple of years, we've fought homelessness in our community and tried to provide for our neighbors who don't have a place to lay their heads like we do. And then also, we are able to build an orphanage in India for a number of children whose families weren't with them anymore. So God's done a lot through this church over the last 9 years, but I'm so excited for this year because this year we're going to be letting God, I think, use us to meet some of the biggest needs in our world, 3 big needs that we've really felt put on our hearts. And the first one actually comes in the country of Malawi. It's the poorest country in the world, and some of us, have already kind of had our hearts break for Malawi. It's poorest country in the world, but it's called one of the warmest countries in the world. And right now, they're going through a food and economic crisis due to something called El Nino. We're hoping El Nino helps us here. It has destroyed their economy and their country. Share us a little about that with us, Rebecca.
Yeah, thanks so much, John. Malawi is an agricultural society, so the well-being of their society depends on the climate and what's happening with that. And earlier this year, there were floods in the south, there was drought in the north, and so that has left the population, 60% of the population, with 5% or less of the harvest that they need to get through this year. And so that is really the food crisis. Then there's an economic crisis. The government has not been able to pay one of our partner hospitals for the last 4 months. And so they've been the clinics have been without medication, and they've not been able to pay their staff. So it really is a dire need over there.
Absolutely. And it's personal for a lot of folks in the church because there's a number of our families in our church who sponsor kids, especially in the Nkoma and Chilenge region where there's a lot of needs right now.
Yes, for over the last 7-8 years, we've done some sponsorships here, and it's been specifically thought out that all of the children we've offered to you guys to sponsor are in this Nkoma Chilenge area, which is about 45 minutes from the capital. And through the sponsorships, and up to 800 families is how many we sponsor, through the sponsorships, we've been able to have water wells all over the communities. That was so encouraging to see. If there is enough food on the ground, then there's goats and chickens running around. And there's been 30,000 decisions for Christ, 27 weekly Bible studies that the chiefs meet and learn how to lead their communities better. But every year, it's a precarious living because it depends on the climate and whether there will be the threat of malaria and starvation depending on what happened that year.
Yeah. And Barnes families, Lisa and Alana, you guys have been sponsoring kids in Malawi, and there's one named Francis, Alana, who has a special connection with you. What was that?
He has the same birthday as me, November 29th, and the same year, 2005.
Very cool. Very cool. And Lisa, you actually had a chance to go out to Malawi and meet Francis and his family. What was that experience like?
Yeah, so sponsoring kids like Francis has always been a big part of our family's lives. I grew up with my parents. My dad worked at World Vision for 40 years, so we always heard the stories and saw videos and knew it was something more than someone's picture on our refrigerator. As Kirk and I got married, this continued to be important to us, and we had children we sponsored in different countries, but when we had our children, I think that's really when it became the most personal connection. And with Ashley, who's 15, we sponsor a girl named Nalesi in this region, and she's the same age as Ashley, and then Francis being the same age as Alana. And so yeah, with the team that went 5 years ago, one of our trips, I was able to go and also travel with my dad. It was just a wonderful experience to see the transformation that could take place through child sponsorship. But definitely the highlight was being able to meet the children that we sponsor, to go to their homes, to hold their children, to see them, and just to feel that connection, because we always say they're part of our family, and we've added them to our family. So that was a great blessing to be able to visit them.
Yeah. And with the economic and food crisis, though, compounded with problems with malaria and HIV and AIDS, there's been some destructive things that have happened over the past year, and that touched your family and Francis's family. Would you share about that?
Yeah, so this summer we returned back from our family trip, and we had 3 messages on our answering machine from World Vision. And I just remember talking to Kirk, and it sounded urgent. It didn't sound good. I think we already could guess what the news might be, and so we called them back, and they let us know that Francis had passed away this summer from malaria. And we just thought of how obviously grief-stricken we were, but we thought how much even more obviously his own family, and we're so far apart, and we can't even grieve with them or support them. And World Vision gave us some tangible things we could do, but we knew that would take weeks, if not months, for that message to get to them. And so it was a very difficult time, just kind of praying for their family and grieving on our own.
What was that experience like for you, Alana, when you heard that news?
I felt sad because I never got to meet him.
Yeah. One of the unique things is that Rebecca and Ozzy, you guys were in Malawi when they received that news, and Lisa was able to contact you guys, and you were able to actually go meet with Francis's family and pray with them. What was that like?
Yeah, that was pretty incredible. So one of the precious gifts in the midst of tragedy that we got this email from Lisa, and we're like, we have to make this happen. We have to meet this family and extend condolences. And it is one of the beautiful things when our short-termers go over, we can meet our sponsored kids. And so we were in Malawi for the summer with our family. They're finally old enough, doing ministry with their y-malawi partners. And one of the highlights for my kids as well was meeting our sponsored kids. And it was just amazing that God ordained, if we will, that Francis's family lived up the street from one of our sponsored families. And so we were able to go extend condolences, pray with them. And through the translator, Francis's mom said, it's just incredible that you guys didn't forget about us in the midst of our tragedy. So it was really such a gift to be there. And in addition to giving, if you are challenged to move into action and to go, we've left our trips open to keep getting applications until January.
Yeah. I love that you guys have been able to continue to support Francis's family through supporting Francis's sister. And what's really sad, though, Ozzy, is you were serving in the hospital as a doctor over the month of being in Malawi, is that Francis's story is not uncommon.
Yeah, sadly, death is actually very common. And in the month that we served there, we had 3 calendar days without one death. All the other days, there was at least 1 or 2 and sometimes 3 people passing away. And together with HIV, tuberculosis, malaria is one of the most common causes of death in that area. 90% of all malaria cases happen in sub-Saharan Africa, where Malawi is. And it's difficult for the people in these communities to get to the hospital, the Nkoma hospital. Francis's family would need to walk at least a mile to the nearest area where they might get an ox-drawn cart that might take a day's journey to get to the facility. And so it's really challenging for them, and it's difficult. In that as well, though, I think it's really encouraging to see what our y-malawi partners are doing and all of the love that they're extending to these communities and the people that are benefited, because they are making a difference in the work that's getting done for all of these diseases and outreach and for the food and the famine. Our y-malawi partners are really exceptional in that. And the thing that they see, and it encourages me, because as I work with them, I see that they remember something that Mother Teresa had said. When they see these children, they see Christ in a distressing disguise. Whatever you do for the least of these, so you do unto me. And, we see that our God has called us to action, and we just cannot be silent.
Yeah. So for us as a church, I feel like part of the action we're called to do to serve this Christmas is to respond to this need in Malawi. Our Christmas offering goal is $150,000. And part of that will be going to bring just needed resources medically and food to help provide for these families who are suffering right now. And I hope that you'll join us and kind of pray about, God, what would you want us to do to be obedient, to be part of this? Alana, you said one thing to me when you got here this morning. Can you close with it by telling what you said?
Our family is not going to spend a lot of money this Christmas to help the Christmas offering.
That's so cool. Less presents for you? Maybe. Hey, would you thank my friends for joining us here today? Thank you guys.